Be bold. Be heard. Welcome to Unmute Your Mic with your host, Jessica Bell. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of Unmute Your Mic.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Unmute Your Mic. My name is Jessica Bell. I am your host from Kansas City, Missouri. And today I have Zoe with me. He is from Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm so excited to get to know him. Zoe, thank you so much for being on my platform today. I'm excited to have a great conversation and know a little bit about your story. If you could just give us a little bit about you and we can get this thing started.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity. And I'm originally actually from Jackson, Mississippi, and I moved here to Atlanta, Georgia, just for this book. I knew the opportunity in Jackson, Mississippi was slim, so I needed to, promote myself, get myself out there more in a bigger city, in a bigger state. So I figured Atlanta, Georgia would definitely be the best place to do so. So yeah, my name is LaDarius Jamison, but my poetry name is ZO.J. And I'm excited to be here.
And so I know you mentioned slide. You throw in the fact that you had a book. Can you talk a little bit about this book, the reason behind it, what it's about? Can you give us a little sneak peek?
Well, the whole reason behind the book, it's out now. It's on Amazon, it's on Apple, Google, it's really everywhere. I just released this last week. The process of this book, the name of the book is called The Adult Soul. And the reason behind this entire book was it's about a young guy, which that young guy is me. Went through a numerous amount of emotions, depression, even having suicidal thoughts, having terrible relationships and things of that nature, as far as with girls and family. This is about his journey of how every emotion that he went through and how he got out of it. So inside of the book, you have 3 different parts. You have mental, you have emotional, you have the physical. And all 3 of those just describes his journey and what he went through and how he got out of it.
That's awesome. And I feel like that's something that's definitely needed. Men specifically being able to talk about their emotions and share your emotion and not like a shameful way. Like I think it's very strong to be able to talk about the stuff that you've gone through. And so I know you mentioned that it's about, relationship and like your relationship with your family and women. So if you could just talk a little bit about how that has impacted you, your relationship with, we'll just start with your family. How has that just impacted you as a person?
It impacted me. Well, that was a real journey as well, because honestly, I think that was more of an emotional roller coaster than the relationships, because, you think about your family, you think about them not hurting you and things like that. But, I definitely had a abandonment issue dealing with some of them. Just relationships that I thought were great didn't turn out to be so great. Just when you're a nice guy or a nice person in general, you have to definitely protect your energy and guard yourself, because a lot of people will definitely see it as an opportunity to take advantage of you. And so, and some of my family members definitely did that. But throughout all of it, I definitely grew from it. I definitely protect myself a lot more, and know how to go through these different situations. With them, I think it's just, honestly, me and my cousin, honestly, it's funny about it. Her and I was talking about this, and it's just, I think it's a generational curse that needs to be broken. And her and I was talking about that, and we were just saying we're gonna be the ones to do it, because we're the ones that see the pattern of what's going on, and so it's like, I think it was just up to her and I to just break that generational curse and, just deal with it head on, because her and I handle handle our emotions head on. We don't run from them, because I think the best thing to do about anything is just take it head on, because if you run from it, another year gonna go by, another year gonna go by, another year gonna go by, and all of a sudden you 70, 80 years old and you still dealing with what you're dealing with. So yeah, we take our problems head on. And as far as the family, it's just a lot of different emotions going on in that, but we're definitely getting to the bottom of that. So yeah, that's my take on that.
No, you said something that's really important, and that's like something that I also work on too is breaking those generational curses,
Mm-hmm.
breaking the things that we see that have gone on in our family, you
Absolutely.
know, from one generation to the next to the next. And it's almost like each generation just accepts what's going on, or we're almost like, well, this is just how I am, right?
Right.
But we're
Right.
not taking the time to unpack and say, but I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to stay this way if it's something that I don't like, if it's something that's not beneficial to my future children or my children's children.
Right.
And so that's a lot to take on head on, to be like the first generation to say, hey, whatever's going on in my family stops with me. That's a lot. So, how do you keep your peace? How do you protect your peace? How do you
Sheesh.
keep your sanity? Because I know from personal experience that it's really easy to be like, I'm breaking this generational curse, but that's a lot of weight on your shoulders. So how do you
Yeah.
carry it and navigate that?
Oof, that's a long answer. I'm gonna keep it short though. But take first, you have to realize what you're getting yourself into. And some, in the older generation, the older they get, the more stuck in their ways they get as well. And so when it comes to things like that, like I said, you gotta know what you're getting yourself into, and you gotta like just stay grounded. You have to, and also know like with me personally, I don't know about anyone else, but with me personally, I've been told that I'm like an empath, so I feel other emotions as well. They're not even mine, but I feel what you feel. And so going into that type of thing is like, it's like, dang, like even when I told myself like, all right, I'm gonna, try to, pull everybody back together. I'm gonna try to break this curse. It's like I felt a heavy load. As soon as I said that, I was like, sheesh, like where's all this energy coming from? It's like, my gosh, like I was just fine. All of a sudden, it just feel like a rock just, hopped on my back. But no, how do I keep my peace? That's a great question. How do I keep it? It's just understanding and knowing, like I just said, knowing that the energy that you're that you're getting isn't your energy. And also, because I mean I'm married, so I have to definitely protect her and my energy. If it gets too chaotic, then I'll just tip my hat and say that I definitely tried. But I don't want to leave anything undone without at least, trying to put everybody back together. So definitely praying, staying prayed up definitely helps me to protect my energy. Meditation, I'm heavy on that now. I wasn't on meditation at first. I didn't really understand it, but once I did my research on it and just the breathing itself is just like very, very calming. So definitely staying prayed up in meditation. That makes me protect my energy. So yeah.
And then I love the fact that you brought up that you're married. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's beautiful. But that also then adds, like you said, you got to make sure you're not just protecting your peace for you, but you're protecting your peace for somebody else as well. Because everybody around us, they, especially when you're married, they deserve the best version of you. So
Absolutely.
they get to see the worst parts because they're there by default. But you
Right.
never want to spend all your energy in another place and then come home and be like, oh, I have
Yeah.
nothing left.
Just exhausted. Yeah. Yeah. True.
And some
Absolutely.
days it may be like that, but that's not what you want the entire relationship to be. And
Right.
so even like, so being being married, um dealing with family issues and all of that thing, you also mentioned your previous relationship issues. And so
Mm-hmm.
how did you heal yourself from those in order to be able to step into marriage?
That took a while. That took a while because even dealing with these relationships, you have to definitely find yourself in those relationships because me and my dad had a good relationship, but when it came to females, I moved back and forth with my mom and my dad, and so it was like that I really feel like that took a toll on me because I was getting relationship advice from my mom, and then not getting a lot of relationship advice from my dad. That came later on. Actually, that actually happened when I was engaged, honestly. But I thank God for my grandmother. My grandmother definitely was like another mom to me. Both of them, they were both like another mom to me. I told my grandmother at a young age, I was like, Grandma, I don't want to be out here just chasing after girl. Like I would like to be married young, and I felt like I was chosen to do that. Like I felt like God was listening the whole time. I had that conversation with my grandma. She was like, "All right, like I got you, but just make sure you know you this is what you want." And I was always like that at a young age. I was like, I don't want to just keep going girl after girl after girl after girl. It's like any relationship I was in at a young age, I took that like, all right, this could be my wife, so I'm gonna treat her as such. And it's just, having that mindset young is like, I had to realize everybody don't have that mindset. Like everyone doesn't see it that way. They're like, man, I'm just trying to have fun. I'm just trying to show you off to my friends. I'm just trying to, be young. And definitely, as I said earlier, being a nice guy, you get taken advantage of. So they definitely, unfortunately, played that against me. But dealing with these relationships, I did definitely go through um, a deep depression in that. Also dealing with family is because I feel like I lost myself, or I didn't know who I was, or I was afraid of who I was, and that person that I felt like I was kept hurting me. So it was like I got to change, and I went through a numerous amount of change. I was mean at one point in time. Definitely very mean, but it's like that didn't last long at all because it's like I know what hurt feels like. So it's like, nah, this ain't me. I can't do this at all. But that depression was definitely real. I actually dealing with family issues and relationship issues. I was going through depression, not even knowing I was dealing with it since 10th grade. Not knowing that I was dealing with it, but I definitely had it since 10th grade. I remember I was in the kitchen one night and my dad was asleep, everybody was asleep, and I just went and I was praying super hard and I was like, why is this on me so hard? And I went to the kitchen and I had like a knife and I just sat there. I was like, no, this ain't what I want to do. But it's like, I don't want to hurt myself, but I want to take this pain that I'm feeling away and not knowing how to. And also dealing with men as well, they don't like talking about feelings. And I feel like that's terrible as well. I feel like men should definitely, I feel like it's okay to be vulnerable. Not just saying you got to go around crying all the time and things like that, but just understand what you're feeling is real and dealing with it as well. And yeah, since 10th grade, that was rough on me. And I finally, like 3 or 4 years ago, I finally like started to like deal with it because it was always on me. I didn't feel like I can talk to anyone because no one understood what I was going through. Except my grandmother. My grandmother always told me to pray. But even then, it was like, man, I don't really feel like God hear me. Like I'm praying, but I know this man don't hear me because this problem has been on me since 10th grade. And I was 20, 21 years old then. And I just like kept praying about it and just I remember talking to my friend James, and we was talking, and he was saying I started writing, and I was like, okay, like start writing it down, because when you feel like any poet, I feel like any poet can say this, or any writer at all, any artist can say, when you're in the studio or by yourself writing, that's your most, you feel like your best self, and it's very therapeutic. So I was like, okay, let me start doing that, because I always wrote, but I never took it serious. I was like, it's, whatever. But once I started, I was like, wow, I didn't realize that this was actually healing for me and better for me. So once I started writing everything down, I started to feel better. I still had that depression because I didn't deal with it fully on then, but I wrote everything down. I was like, okay, I'm starting to feel a whole lot better now. And I started to maybe, I started sharing them with him. He was like, bruh, it was like, you guys were pretty dope. And I was like, okay, it's cool. I still didn't take it seriously then. But as I kept writing, as I kept telling my story, I was like, wow. I was like, now it's like it's all starting to make sense on why I was going through all those emotions. It was like these aren't like some of these emotions definitely aren't yours. This is why I feel like God was like, he was like, all right, it's like I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna put you through a little, hell. I'm gonna put you through a little bit, but you're gonna see the reason behind all of it once you're ready. And so I went through all these emotions with family and went through all these emotions with relationships. And some of those emotions, like I said, weren't mine. I just wrote them down. And I was like, oh, it makes sense now. Because once I started sharing them with some people, I was like, bro, I was like, I didn't even talk to you about this. How do you, I already know what I'm feeling. And my answer would be, I honestly don't know, but I see, the impact I'm having on you just by writing this and showing you this. And so after that, it was like I just wrote. All I did, I wrote every single day. I wrote a poem every single day. At least I was upset that I didn't write a poem one day. But every single day I was just, increasing my penmanship on my writing ability. I kept writing, I kept writing, I kept writing. and I was like, you know what, I see this could actually be a book. You know, not even knowing I was writing a book. I was just writing my emotions and other people's emotions, but not knowing it was gonna turn out to be a book. I kept writing, I kept writing. I was like, dang, like I have a lot of poems here. Why not, combine all of these and make a book? And that's how the Adult Soul was born.
If you're just tuning in to this episode of Unmute Your Mic, I'm currently talking to Zoe from Atlanta, Georgia, and he is talking about his poetry, managing our emotions, and the importance of facing your trauma head on and breaking generational curses. Continue to listen. You said so much good stuff. I'm trying to figure out what
I
I was
apologize.
going to
I
touch
was
on.
rambling a little bit there.
No, no, that's fine because I think it's really important and people need to hear. A lot of times we see the finished product of something, right? So then we see something, we're like, oh my God, that's so cool. You wrote a book. But when you talk to people about the passion and the reason behind it, you get to see that there are a lot of emotions and a lot of healing that takes place in a lot of creative work. And
Right.
I think that's important. I also think it's beautiful because God will give us a talent that we use that in turn not only heals ourselves but
Mm-hmm.
heals other people,
Yeah.
because I think it's really important for people to hear, especially a Black man,
Mm-hmm.
talk about his emotions, talk about the things that he's gone through, but you're
Mm-hmm.
also not talking about it from a place of being a victim, but
Mm-hmm.
more like of it being of like you're a victor and things that you're, though
Right.
you're not at the end of your story, you're overcoming and you're figuring things out. And like you said, being able to face something head on and be able to say, hey, this is the feeling that I'm feeling right now. I think in general, especially even just with youth, or just the younger generation, we get really good at making things look pretty and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to sweep everything under the rug so that we can,
Absolutely.
post on social media and act
Right.
like everything's fine. But
Right.
a lot of people, when the doors are closed in their home, they're really struggling.
They're terrible.
um,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
think when you said that, the part about like you being in the kitchen and deciding like, hey, I don't want to actually hurt myself, but I just want to take this pain away.
Right.
I think that's a spot that a lot of people can relate to.
Right.
A lot of people don't want to just end their life, but at the same time, you feel like there's like no out for the pain and the emotions that you're feeling. And so I thank you for sharing that because I think that's very real and that's very important. And so with your poetry, like you said, you were writing them almost every day. Do you perform them? How else do you get them out there?
I definitely was told that I should do a lot of spoken word, but still um I didn't perform those because they were so close to me. And so I was like, I don't really want to. I would share it with a few people, but I wouldn't put it out there, because it was like I'm still going through this exact emotion right now. So it's like I don't want anyone to, know that real me. You know what I mean? Like I don't, because also it's like when you're a male and you're writing about like a girl hurting you, that's like lame in a lot of males' eyes. Um, it is what it is. That's very unfortunate, but that's definitely like you consider it as soft or things like that. Because people see me, they just think, oh, he has I get the player type. I'm like, no, actually, no. Like I'm not that guy at all. Actually, I've been through a lot, bro. Like I've been through a lot. So as far as the answer, to go back to your question, I'm sorry for keep rambling, but to go back to your question, no, I didn't. I didn't. I definitely didn't put those poems out. I started to, finally gain confidence and put them on Instagram. But also, even with Instagram, like you said earlier, is when people post on social media, um, they'll post like they're happy, but they're really not. I knew I wasn't happy, so I wasn't posting. Like I went back. I was very, into Instagram through the high school days and things like that. But I went through a phase where I deleted every photo. I was like, cause I don't want nobody, to get the wrong picture of me. I remember I had like 2 or 3 photos on Instagram. I'm just now, starting to get back into the midst of just posting myself and things like that. Cause now I'm comfortable with myself. Now I know my purpose. So back then, no, I definitely didn't share these poems with a lot of people. I definitely had to gain confidence to do so. But once I gained that confidence, I was like, okay. I started sharing with more people. I started connecting with more poets and things like that. And yeah, that's how that went. But to answer the question, no, absolutely not.
Okay, so then talking about gaining confidence, how did you do that? How did you work through gaining your confidence to, like you said now you know your purpose, which I think is
Hmm.
so beautiful. How did you land in that place? Because we both know that wasn't just like a one morning you woke up and you're like, now I'm
Right.
good. Like it was a process. So what did that process look like for you?
It looks great because I did the work. I put it that way. I did the work. Like I said, you got to go back to acknowledging how you feel. Once you know how you feel, then you unfold why you feel this type of way, and then once you know why, then you be able to do the work. And so I did a lot of self-evaluating to myself. Like I did a lot of that. So it was like dealing with, and I'm still dealing with different traumas now, but I'm not running from them. I'm not running from any of it because it's like now I know I see the work. I see myself as like, okay, this is a good version of myself. I still got work to do. We all do as humans, but at the same time, it's like I see what this can do for me. And so once you see the results, once you acknowledge, that you're not okay, and it's okay with not being okay, but acknowledge it though. Don't just, like you said, keep throwing it on the rug and things like that. Never dealing with it because it's always gonna be there, whether you like it or not. You can throw it on the rug for as long as you want to, but it's gonna reveal itself later on in life. Um, so yeah, just acknowledging that I wasn't okay and dealing with it head on. That's honestly that's my best advice to anyone. Just acknowledging it, deal with it, no matter how long it takes. It took me years. It took me years to finally find out, this is what I meant to do. It took me years, and it's okay if it takes you that long. Like, don't worry about how many years it takes, how long it's gonna take. Um, Healing has no timeline. None of it does. So just deal with it. And I promise you, I definitely felt better. I'm glad I took this step to do so.
And I think there's so much irony in the fact that, like, in order to gain confidence and heal, you kind of have to go back to the places that took your confidence away in
Yeah,
the first place,
absolutely.
so that you can face it and so that you can be like, oh, this certain emotion is why I felt like this, or this is why I didn't feel like I was good enough, or that kind of thing. And like you said, it's work and it's a process, but I really don't see how anyone can get to the other side without facing the emotions and without dealing them head on. And even if you do, I mean, I think that's when you see certain people reach a certain level in life and then they just crack and break, and everybody's looking like, you're 45 and you're a millionaire. Like, why are you not happy? Because it's so much deeper than that. It is so much
Absolutely.
deeper than that. And so you also had mentioned a little earlier that you realized early on that you were different, right?
Hmm.
That you wanted to settle down, that you didn't want to just be like running around doing what everybody else was doing. And why do you think that is? Because I always think it's interesting when we can realize in ourselves that, like, hey, we're just not like everybody that we're maybe seeing or around. So why do you think it is that you stood out in that way?
That's a great question. It goes back to God. I put everything on Him. It's like He knew what He wanted me to do as soon as I was born. It was like, I want you to do this. It's like, I'm gonna put you through this, but this is where I want you to be. It's like sometimes I do. I was talking to my auntie, and my auntie is like definitely like a mentor to me because she always like knows what to say and knows what to tell me. So it's like her and I was talking about just me. And I say this with all humility, I promise you I do. But her and I was talking about me just being chosen to do certain things. And it was like, I feel like if I was into all of that, then my book, or I wouldn't market myself as such. Like if I was into all these women's and things like that, or just, into that type of life, I'll be a hypocrite. Like I'll be, I wouldn't the book wouldn't do as good or anything like that. And so I just feel like God was like, nah, I gotta sit you down. Like I gotta mature you early. Because definitely going through all these emotion things, it definitely matures you. Like I grew up pretty fast. Like I was 19 talking about being married, knowing I was not ready, knowing I wasn't ready. But I definitely, thought about it and wanted to be, ready for those type of things. Like my grandmother prepared me for marriage when I was younger, having me cook and things like that. Once I told her that, she was like, okay, I'm gonna show you this, I'm gonna show you that. This is what you do for your wife and all that. Like she gave me the whole game. So I definitely thank God for her, um, for showing me all those things. So yeah.
No, that's good. And I think, having people around us to help us along the way, it's super important because we really can't do anything alone. I mean,
Right.
and even though there are some things that we do have to kind of face on, head on, and go to God and, talk about, that we do need other people too. And I also love the fact that you brought up, how you were talking, you were thinking about
Hmm.
how God made you different, right? And so that's not even like, I was telling somebody this the other day, it's not even like a brag or like a flex to be like, I'm just not called to be walking in the crowd that everybody's walking in. I
Right.
think like God has certain people that he calls to do specific things, and
Hmm.
it calls us to be leaders. And in order to
Absolutely.
be a leader in our community and our household, we have to know that like you can't do everything that everybody is doing. And
Right.
so I think when we're younger, it's kind of like, oh, you're different. Oh, you're soft. Oh, you're this. But
Yeah.
as we get older, like we're the very people that people would come to and be like, hey, I'm going through this. Can you help me with this? Because they see somebody who answered the call early and decided to put the work in. And so I think that is really, it's awesome. And I think it's going to be inspirational for people to see you walking out that calling. And it's imperfect, but that's the best part about it. Because
Absolutely.
nobody really relates to perfect leaders.
Right.
They relate to the people who go through things and decide that like, hey, no matter what I'm going through, no matter how hurtful it was, I want to keep going and I want to inspire other people. So that's why I think it's so great that you have a book and that you're doing poetry. And if you could just wrap it up by talking to somebody who is listening, maybe they're another young Black male, maybe they're creative, maybe they want to get a book out, but they've gone through a lot and they're feeling kind of stuck. If you could just speak to them for about a minute.
Pray about it. My thing is just pray about it. Pay attention to the signs. Definitely pay attention to them because he can be showing you exactly what you're asking for. You're just not paying attention to it. So definitely pay attention to every sign that you see. Ask questions, do your research, all of that. Like, and please, like I said, as anyone, men and women, like deal with your trauma. Like deal with it head on. Do not run from it. Don't try to please don't do that because you're only gonna make it worse. And if you don't deal with it, think about this: if you don't deal with that trauma and things that you're going through, depression it does get deeper. Like, cause I realized that as well. It's like when I wasn't dealing with it head on, it got worse and worse and worse, and then it eventually led to more suicidal thoughts and things like that. So please just deal with it. Like, don't run from it, man. It's okay to be vulnerable. You're not looked at as weak if you're vulnerable and things like that. So just please pray about it and deal with it. Like if you got to do therapy, writing was my therapy. So I mean, I found my therapy. But if you have to do therapy, see a therapist, do so. Don't ever run from your trauma. That's my biggest thing. Never run from your trauma and put God first, and you'll be fine.
That's real and that's true. Facing everything head on, seeking God, not being afraid to get help, not being afraid to let somebody know, hey, this is getting too heavy and I need a little assistance. And I thank you so much for being on my platform today. If you could
Thank you
let
for having me.
everybody know where they can find you, how they can find you, where they can purchase your book, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So I'm on Facebook at LaDarius Jamison, but you will see my poet name ZO.J in the names. Instagram ZO.J official, on Twitter ZO.J official, and you can find my book on Amazon. Just type in The Adult Soul. You can find it on Amazon, Apple, Google Play, Kindle, and Barnes and Noble. You can find it there as well. So I thank everyone for the support, and once again, I appreciate you for having me.
Of course, thank you. And then everybody who's listening, I'm going to put all of that information he said down below. So please like, follow, purchase his book. I know I'm going to. And just really
Thanks.
continue to follow the journey of a young Black male who is truly facing his emotions, using it in a positive and good way. We need more examples, and to know that everybody is not out here acting crazy, but we do
Right.
have people who are trying to be the best versions of themselves. And
Absolutely.
so I want to thank you again. It was truly an honor. I would love to check back in with you over the course and just see what else you're doing. And I would love to stay connected with you. Thank you for sharing just a little bit of your story today. I want to thank everybody for listening to another episode of Unmute Your Mic. As always, you can find us at unmuteyourmic.org. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, also under Unmute Your Mic, and you can find us anywhere you will find a podcast. Please like, subscribe and share, and continue to be bold, be heard, and unmute your mic. Thank you again, Zoe. Have a good night.
Absolutely. Peace. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Unmute Your Mic. Be sure to tune in next time when Jessica takes her mic off mute as she continues her journey to find stories that inspire and uplift our communities.